This morning, diving into an ancient civilization to learn more about discoveries helping our modern world. It's all thanks to an American husband and wife team sharing a love story and lifetime commitment to explore. The Mayan civilization dates back as far as 1000 BC or earlier. Their territory covered about 120,000 square miles in Central America. That includes Belize, where Jeff Glor traveled to Caracol, the site of the largest Mayan city ever discovered. Many of its secrets haven't been revealed until recently, using technology that shows how Mayans built the kinds of cities we aspire to today, 2,000 years ago.
What is this?
That particular building we call Cana, or Sky Place. We don't know what the Maya called it, but it seemed like a fitting name to the first team of Belizeans and us that were here.
So they got their cardio in.
Yeah, for sure. And this is only part one.
So it's part one and part two?
No, there's three.
Oh, lovely. The highest structure in the country of Belize put the Mayans of Caracol on top of their known world.
This is one of my favorite places on site.
And you can see everything from here.
And everything you can see is Caracol.
So 40 years ago, what did this look like when you first arrived?
It looked like a hill. There was no architecture visible here at all.
Diane Chase and her husband Arlen have devoted their professional lives to piecing together the uncovered remains of a lost civilization.
Caracol was a completely unknown city until 1937. And when I first was introduced to the Maya in high school, I realized essentially how little we knew about them.
Based on our section, we know that there's plenty of room out front here for another tomb.
The Chases have been coming here since 1985, excavating over 400 buildings and uncovering hundreds of thousands of artifacts.
And there are two plates here, one bowl with some little things in it, and the skull.
For the first 24 years, they relied on traditional archaeological techniques. That all changed in 2009 when they tried a revolutionary technology called LiDAR, an airborne laser mapping system that can see through trees, revealing hidden spots that might have taken decades to find otherwise. The Chase's son, Adrian, gave us a demonstration.
This is what the flight initially recorded, and you can see all of the trees in the forest canopy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've angled it so it's along the road you guys took in. And earlier today, when you were walking, let's get it to rotate, you went up Cana. This is Cana here, and I can remove all the trees and show you that sort of bare earth model.
Wow.
So you can see Cana in this downtown.
Wow.
But you can get a sense of these different structures on the landscape.
When we saw the results of LiDAR, it was phenomenal because all of a sudden we had control of space. We could see where the structures were and where they were not underneath these trees. And it is equivalent in our minds to radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating gave us control of time. LiDAR gave us control of space in the Maya area.
What do you think the Mayans can teach us today?
If you look at how Caracol is built, it's an incredible planned city. I think we could learn something for the plan. It's a walkable city, it's a green city. The reservoirs are located so that folks have access. There are fields near almost every house. In addition to that, everyone could get to a market. So you can see that it's actually lined on one side, and there's a walled group here. Inside that seem to be some of the artisans that would have worked at the site.
On the afternoon of our visits, we joined the Chase team on a dig.
So we're going to go to what we call a plazuela group. If this were a contemporary city, you might say it was a suburb.
At one of the sites they discovered with that mapping technology.
This excavation's been going on for a little bit. We're looking for architecture. We're looking for a sequence of floors. So that's the front step. Down there is bedrock. And we're excavating to see, how many levels of occupation there are.
So how do you dig all this?
By hand.
By hand?
Yeah, because it's important to...
Same way they built it?
Yes.
Lucky for us, we arrived just as a priceless artifact was unearthed.
Thank you, Carlos. Very good. It's pretty unusual to find whole things here. The soil is, I mean, it's cracked, so it's, you know, it's not perfect. But usually we find things in pieces, so it's nice to find something that's completely whole.
How old is that?
This pot?
Yeah.
What would you say, Arlen? 700?
700 to 720.
Yeah.
That's 700 AD, or 1,300 years old.
Why did Mayan civilization collapse?
We have a view that it probably collapsed because of economics. Just like we're having issues in the U.S. over globalization and importing products, the Maya in the late Classic period were having the same kinds of issues. What we see in the late Classic period is everything's being imported into Caracol, and probably for up to 5 generations of people. So if you have the system is disrupted somewhere, that's going to have severe repercussions because nobody remembers how to do things.
However,
Go ahead.
we see differences in the sort of social status levels. In the earlier part of Caracol's history, there are haves and have-nots.
And then in the late Classic period, what happens is everybody has access to everything.
And then what happens at the end of the Classic period, right before the collapse,
You get the 1% and the
we have the haves and
99%.
have-nots again, too.
2,000 years of Mayan civilization is a pretty impressive run. So is 40 years of teamwork.
You like the fact that we finish each other's sentences? Is that why you're laughing?
That is exactly what I was just going to say.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
You complete each other.
We work together really well. Some people say, how can you work with your husband, or how can you work with your wife? I think not knowing us, of course. We are a good team. That was not the, that was, okay.
I absolutely agree that we're a good team. But
I love them. I wonder, they've been spending so much time in the jungle if they even got the Jerry Maguire reference.
Yeah, they complete me. I mean, they complete each other. I love that. And just the work, it's so meaningful.
Oh, it is.
To pull something out that is what? That bowl, 1,300 years old.
That civilization gave us mathematics, a sense of the sky. It's truly fascinating the more we learn about it. And now we know they were true city planners.
Mm-hmm. The
Love
fact that they had suburbs and
Yes.
try to plan out so you could walk to a market. I mean, isn't that the mark of a great neighborhood these days?
Yes, it certainly is.
Yeah,
we
great
live in
story.
them too.